We start, sir?
Yes, please. Yeah. Shall I start? I'll start off with your introduction. So, good afternoon to all the professionals who have logged in, and good afternoon to the speaker, Mr. Amol Anand Patil, who has joined us from Mumbai, and he would be sharing his thoughts on low viscosity concrete rheology made easy. He is a product manager at Mixture and Auxiliary System in BASF India Limited, and he is providing technical and marketing support to Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Nepal. He has obtained his bachelor's degree in civil engineering from Walchand College of Engineering, Sangli, and master's degree in structural engineering from Mumbai University. Currently, he is pursuing PhD from IIT Mumbai. He has more than 17 years of work experience in concrete industries and execution of infrastructure projects. He worked as a project manager in Gammon, India, and he has experience in bridges and highway constructions. He has exposed to well foundations, launching pre-stress girder, CLC post-tension construction. During the last 13 years, he has held various positions in BASF, mainly supporting admixture systems to work on high-performance concrete, high-strength concrete, geopolymer concrete. He has published technical papers in national and international conferences and technical journals. He has also presented technical presentation in IIT Chennai, IIT Bhubaneswar, IIT Kharagpur, Indian Institute of Railway Engineering, Pune, and IIT Mumbai for student interaction for new technology in construction. So that's the speaker of the day. Now, before we go to the speaker, let me also just give a couple of announcements were there, so that I will just share with you a couple of announcements that are there. From next week onwards, we would be having a series of webinars. In fact, in collaboration with ACC Goa Center from June 22nd to 26th. And the focus would be on analysis and design of liquid retaining structures. And on 22nd and 23rd June, we have an exclusive webinar on IS 3370. And the speaker has also requested that if you can go through those codes, IS 3370 part 1 and part 2, it would be very easier, and you can post your queries on the webinar on that day. It would be much more simpler. And of course, we had similar webinars in the earlier this thing also on sustainability with BAS officials as per NBC 2016. About the organization, as all of you know, Ramco Cements Limited is the flagship company of the Ramco Group, and we have 12 brands of cement ranging from ordinary Portland cement, Portland Pozzolana cement, Portland slag cement, SRC, and rapid hardening Portland cement for precast works. The present capacity of the Ramco cements, we have 16.5 million tons, and we are expected to touch 20 million tons per annum with the expansion at Kurnool, as well as the new grinding unit which is coming up in Odisha. And we also have one ready mix concrete unit in Chennai and a dry mix plant at Chennai, and we operate one of the largest wind farms in the country. And we have a research center at Chennai, Ramco Research Development Center. We have these types of cements, the 12 types of cements. Ordinary Portland cement, we have 4 types of cement. We have Ramco Superfast, Super Great, Supercrete. PPC itself, we have 4 types of cement. The difference between Supercrete is exclusively for concrete, wherein we have low heat of hydration as well as high compressive strength. Then we have Portland slag cement, and then we have the sulfate resistant Portland cement. So these are the 12 different brands of cement that Ramco is having, and a few of the major customers with whom we have very good interactions and who have been using our cement for their major projects. Of course, Larsen & Toubro, who is also executing our plant at Kurnool, and as well as a grinding unit in Odisha, and they have various projects ranging from infrastructure to buildings to bridges and all that. So they have also been using cement for various types of works. ITD cementation, of course, in the eastern part of the country, especially near Haldia. And we have a couple of projects in the east part of the country, Haldia Development Authority, Godrej, and some of the metro projects. Most of the metro projects, Bangalore Metro, Cochin Metro, Delhi Metro, our brand is approved. So this is our research and development center, where we do some works on cement as well as on concrete. Some of the trials that our customers wants to do, say for example, with reference to their requirement of slump retention strength with the locally available materials, because as all of us know, the locally available materials like sand and aggregate changes from place to place, and it can also pose a challenge to the properties of concrete. So we do that, in fact, for our customers, the concrete trials at our research center. And that is how we have been helping our, especially the project customers. And with that, let me not take much of the time. Tomorrow, the webinar that we are having would be starting at 11 o'clock in the morning, Dr. Sudhir Mishra, and that would be the next webinar. Now, before I think I should be handing it over to the speaker, Mr. Amol Anand Patil, who would be taking us through the interesting journey on admixtures. Welcome you, Mr. Amol. You can take over. Thank you so much. I think this you have to unmute your mic.
Yeah. Okay, I'm audible now.
Yeah, now you are. You can share the screen.
Yeah, thank you for the nice introductions. So friends, once again, welcome on behalf of the Ramco team and the BSF for the interesting topic about low viscosity concrete. Friends, why I choose this topic? So for this, I don't to talk much. I will give first some examples where people are now thinking about the concretes. Okay, when the concrete words comes to the mind, people always think that, oh, concrete means is the cement, sand, aggregate, and admixtures water mixed together, and we can design the concrete. But beyond that, we have to think now how the concrete industry, or specifically for the concrete mix design, changing. I feel that the changing word is not sufficient. Is a transformation complete into the concrete mix design. So I will take you to that the small journey to understand, to expand your horizon, to understand beyond the only from the concrete mix designs. Okay, so this is our point of discussion or agenda for this today. We will go one by one here. So come to the point is that I will just first introduce the word here, the rheology. Why we need to understand the rheology? Is really rheology is important into the concrete, because till that we not understand or classify concrete in terms of the rheology. We always use word is a workability. So workability is a part of the rheology. So I will try to give some glance of the information and the understanding to think beyond the concrete technology and take you to the fluid mechanics and physics and the applied mechanics. Because I believe personally that today's concrete technology knowledge not limited only domain knowledge of the mix design or the concrete technology. We have to understand the fluid mechanics. We have to understand the applied mechanics. And then we have to incorporate all this knowledge to solve our construction problems, specifically for the designing of the concrete and the pumping of the concretes. So what is important here? When we are talking about the concrete mix design domain, so my wish list, if I want to design the concrete as a one quality engineer or quality manager, I need the stability into the mix. How I can make the stability into the mix? Take the pointer. Okay, so how I can define the stability of a concrete mix design in terms of the bleeding and the segregation. So my wish is, or my objective for the design of concrete mix, I want the resistance against the bleeding, or I want to resistance against the segregation into the concrete. That means my concrete is stable. Next important is the compactability. So compactability is related to your relative density. And this is where we have defined the altogether concrete technology. Okay, this is the left hand side. If I move to my right hand side, I define now the when my concrete start the moving or my concrete start the flowable. Then which property of the concrete is most important is the flowability or the mobility into the concrete. So how I can define the flowability and the mobility into the concrete? The viscosity of the concrete mix, cohesion of the concrete mix, and internal friction between the particles of the concrete mix. If I want to demystify all these three words is for the viscosity, yield stress, cohesion, this is the thixotropy or internal friction. These all words coming from the fundamental from the physics, and I link to the engineering, it is a fluid mechanics background. So if I want to design the concrete mix design, I should also know the fluid mechanics fundamental basic, how I can use into the designing of the concretes. So I hope you now guys are understanding that why this rheology important. So here we are not talking about the workability retention. Our objective is how we can maintain the rheology throughout the open time of the concrete. This is our objective. And why this objective is required, I will show the couple of the case studies. Okay, so first we are understanding two terminology here. What is the rheology retention versus workability retention? If I say what is meant by the workability retention is simply we have to maintain the slump from the mixing to the pouring time. It might be 1 hour, 2 hours, or 3 hours, or sometimes 4 hours into the mega project or offshore or inshore project. Now, if you see here this graph gives the two fundamental properties of the concrete. First, this yellow line indicating your slump flow. Slump flow starting from 100 mm to the 700 mm. We are taking the flow of the concrete. So flow of the concrete at 5 minutes is around 700. Then is 680 or the 690 with respect to the 5 minutes, 60 minutes, 120 minutes. So these retain the workability for your placing, compaction, finishing. I want to define the workability. So this is the workability retention. Now see the same concrete. If I measure the V funnel value, here is my photo. I hope you understand the V funnel instrument. If I measure the V funnel value at 5 minutes, so V funnel value is given the 7 seconds. This axis, y-axis indicating in the seconds. Scale is in seconds. So 5 minute concrete gives the viscosity in terms of the V funnel is a 7 seconds. Same concrete when I tested at 60 minutes, that time viscosity is increasing from the 7 second to up to the 15 second. The same concrete when I tested from the 60 minute to the 120 minute, the viscosity increases to the 25 second. So friends, one thing is most important. Suppose you are pumping the concrete from the 100-meter height or 200-meter heights or other challenging situations. If your transit mixture reach into the site within the 5 minutes and you are using the concrete, that time your viscosity of the concrete in terms of the V funnel is a 7 seconds. Your pumping pressure, pumping operation, finishing, compaction, all together the different dynamics here. The same concrete when it reaches to the 120 minutes, and that time because of the traffic congestion or any issues, or you have that the workability window for your site is here and the RMC blatching plant is away 20 kilometers or 25 kilometers. So anyway, you have to transport the concrete. So then if you are to transport the concrete and your transit mixture reaches to the site at 120 minutes, and that time you start your pumping of the concrete, but viscosity of the concrete is around 25 seconds. So now compare your same concrete at 5 minutes and the same concrete at 120. Your workability window is almost remains same. There is no deviation into the workability in terms of the slump flow. But in terms of the viscosity of the concrete is a change. 5 minutes is a 7 seconds versus 120 minutes is 25 seconds. And that impact your pumping operations. Now understand, this is an implication of the thixotropy into the concrete. I will explain you in a very easiest way. Okay, this is one our understanding about the rheology retention versus the workability retention. Now, most important attribute into the construction industry, we always define the strength versus durability. So here is also the two different parameters. When I am talking about the strength is a strength of the concrete is the ability to resist the load. And when I am talking about the durability is no more related to your strain. Durability is always related to the lifespan of the structure, how my concrete can sustain against the weathering actions, chemical attack, abrasion, or any mechanical deterioration. That performance is important for the durability. So strength is coming from, I can say, from the design parameters, and durability is coming from the practices or your need of the structures. These two different parameters. So we don't want to trap when designing for the structure only from the strength. I want to achieve the 28 days compressive strength. Okay, this is one of the parameters, because this parameter is coming from the structural design point of view. Because structural designer design the concrete in basis of the what is the live load, dead load, and the wind load combination, and that the load, and for resist that load, how much my strength of the concrete is important. This is the fundamental factor to arrive the strength of the concrete. But when we are talking about the durability, it is the life of the structure. There is no related to the strength of the concrete. So we need to have the proper specification. We can emphasize on the durability of the concrete, not only the strength. Strength is not only parameter to qualify the concrete. Because this is the problem we are facing. This is not even related to it. If you see these photographs, you see the extent of this. It's entire bridge are standing, and because of the the deterioration mechanism, because of the corrosions. Is related to your strength? No, because people are not understanding the proper factors of the durability, how much external factor affecting onto the concrete, and what factor of safety is required, what is the testing of the required, what is the as-built strength of the concrete is required. This parameter we have to incorporate all those things. So where we have to main focus nowadays, this is the two parameters. One is the design and second is the practices. Nowadays, design is the easy because this is having the very high control. We have the IS the guidelines, we have the lot of the new nanotechnology materials, we have the hyper range of the admixtures available, we have the very controlled cement available, we have the all supplementary cementitious material available. So we can design the concrete in a lab in very good condition or the control conditions. But when that concrete transfer into the sites, so what's happened? I want to mix all these ingredients. Practice is important. I want to transport the concrete. Practice is important. I want to place the concrete. Practice is important. I want to compact the concrete. Practice is important. I want to finish the concrete. Practice is important because the challenge is here. The how many people are involved in this value chain in the practices, and unfortunately or fortunately, people are actually handling the concrete. They are not really aware about the concrete. If I increase the water content in this concrete mix, what will happen? They don't know. If I not do the proper vibration, what happened to the concrete? They don't know, and we don't want to have the expectation from that the peoples, because those people is not made for these operations, guys. We never train them. How they will know? Now I know all these, how know of the properties of the concrete because I am a technical person. So I have the expectation from the technical person. But reality is the on the side that people are handling concrete to the side. They are not the technical people. So we are designing very good quality of the concrete and giving to that people who don't know the concrete. This is the challenge for us. And this factor is most important from the durability point of view. If you refer to the Adam Neville books and his paper, he says that, always saying that 1% while into the concrete reduce the 5% compressive strength. He just gives his judgment. And what is the importance of factors of all this compaction, finishing, and all those things. So come to the now we are trying to understanding the concrete from the different modeling. I hope everybody knows this is the high-rise tower in the world, is a Burj Khalifa. Okay, I'm not here to explain you the high-strength concrete. They are using M80 grade of the concrete. Yeah, for me it is not a big challenge, and you guys also not a big challenge because you are also designing the M80 or M70 grade of the concrete. So what is the basic challenge for here in this project? The challenge is in this project is that how to pump the concrete for the 626 meter height. In this project, the engineer pumps the concrete at vertical 626 meter height. That is the till date the world records. And they are celebrated that world record after doing the concreting. So it is most important now to understand the parameters of the designing of the concrete. Okay, I'm not explaining here how to design the M80 grade of the concrete for this project. For me, it's very simple. The challenge is really different. Okay, guys. Now in this project, they are using the two dia of the pipe. One is a 150 mm dia and one is a 125 mm dia. So total length of the pipe from this horizontal to the verticals is around 700 meter. So if I calculated the amount of concrete at a time into the pipeline is around 11.7 cubic meter. The concrete inside the pipeline from the pumping end to the delivery end. So 11.5 cubic meter of concrete multiplied by 2,500 density of the concrete. If I multiply 11.5 into 2,500 kg per cubic meter, the total weight of the concrete into the pipeline is around 28 metric ton. Right? This is the challenge. If I say that is clear, the hydrostatic pressure 28 metric ton vertical column of the height into the pipeline that carry the hydrostatic pressure, and that hydrostatic pressure back into the pumping air. First mechanics, second mechanics, then they creating the hoop stresses. Hoop stresses means periphery of the boundary of the pipe wall, and that chances of the bursting of the pipeline because of the high hydrostatic pressures. So this is the challenge, how we can design the concrete to pump 626-meter high. Then the all the technical people are thought to discussion that how we can resolve this problem. So what they understand the bottleneck, how we can reduce the hydrostatic pressure into the concrete, because that hydrostatic pressure means friction between the this is the wall of the pipeline. So when concrete is moving, they create the friction between the wall and the concrete boundary. That friction is created because friction factor created the periphery of the entire wall. Second factor is that you have the different material, 10 mm, 20 mm, natural sand or the crushed sand, then the slag, cement, all this composition that having the internal frictions. All together they create the cohesion, and again they create the resistance against the flow. And if you are having that much resistance, that much friction factor, so who want to nullify all this friction factor? The piston of the pump, because pump want to push the concrete inside the pipeline. Then the how we can measure fundamentally this pumping friction and the power of the pump in terms of the bar. So people are generally describing the pumping operation in the site. Okay, we have to pump this concrete for this 120 bar pressure, 150 bar pressure, 200 bar pressure. So why this bar pressure are increasing? Because resistance is increasing. So we have to overcome by resistance by applying the more power. So first time people are understanding this concept, and they are designing entire concrete from the low viscosity concrete. So try to minimize, lower down the viscosity of the concrete. If I lower down the viscosity of the concrete, the friction factor, cohesion, internal, all these forces, we are trying to keep the control. So then they go for the low viscosity concrete of the concept. So here we are not discussing about how we can design the MAT grade of the concrete. Anyway, why this is the MAT is challenging for them? Because when we are designing for the high strength concrete, you always go for the as low water cement ratio. You have the very low free water into the mix. This is all to the challenge. I will give another example here. So if I say that the Burj Khalifa pump the concrete at the center where there is one more tower, is the Kingdom Tower. The height of the tower is 1 kilometer or 1,000 meters. So in this project, we have to pump the concrete more than the Burj Khalifa possible. So challenges keep on increasing day by day. We have to update ourselves for the accepting the different challenges. So this is one of the reference in the Mumbai. This is the Lodha World 1 building. The grade of the concrete is M95. In this project, we pump the concrete for the core wall for more than the 180 to 200 meters, considering all these local available material to the Mumbai. But if you're comparing to the Japan is in 2006 already designed 130 MPa of the concrete. We are not talking M95 grade of the concrete in around 2016 and the 17. So you can say that we are anyways 10 years behind than the progress of the Japan. But I'm very confident the way all the industry are changing, Indian concrete industries are changing, and demand of the high strength concrete are changing. Because when I started the career, the M60 grade of the concrete, people are considering the very high strength concrete. Nowadays, people are easily talking about the M70, M80, or even the M100 grade of the concrete in Mumbai. So how? So now I just explain or open up my session with the fundamental fluid mechanics properties. So how we can measure these fundamental fluid mechanics properties into the concretes? So this instrument is called as an Eicher rehometer. So I just sharing with all these facts and figures from the site from the Lodha World for designing the M25 grade of the concrete. So this is the Eicher rehometer. So Eicher rehometer gives the idea about the yield stress and the plastic viscosity. So we bring this all instrument to the sites and understanding all these properties. Okay, I will explain you very because all those things we need to understand a lot of expertise. Okay, this is the one of the output from this Eicher rehometer. So here is I just explained the two mixed design, two identical mixed design. Okay, here is cement content is the same, supplementary cement is the same, water cement ratio is the same. Only change the admixture technology, how they can change the viscosity of the concrete. Okay, if you compare the mix one having the is new, is a plastic viscosity is 70.8 Pascal second. When I change with the admixture technology, I will change the entire concept from the low viscosity concrete concept. When I run this concrete, this is A mix versus B mix. Okay, now when I test first A mix, when I tested with A mix, gives me the viscosity is 70.8 Pascal second. Now the same we can say the same composition of the mix design. I'm not changing anything. I'm changing only the concept of the designing with the low viscosity concrete. And when I'm measuring the viscosity by using the ICAR rehometer, I change from the 70.8 Pascal second to 36.1 Pascal second. So it's almost 50% reduction into the viscosity. This is the M80, M95 grade of the concrete. If you see here, even this output from coming from the systems. Okay, so what I want to mention here now, for me is that I want to give the explanation how this viscosity bring change into the pumping operation. For example, just layman language, we have to try to understand all this concept. We have the two fluids. Okay, one is the honey, second is the water. So from this fundamental from the fluid mechanics, both fluid are the same because both are the fluids. Honey is also fluid and water is also fluid. But how I can differentiate the honey and the water? Water is having the viscosity 1 centipoise and honey is having the viscosity of 10,800 centipoise. So I can say that this mix A is behavior like your honey and mix B is behavior like water. If you pour the honey into the pumping, so how much pumping pressure is required? Obviously is required high because honey is having high viscosity, is having the high frictions inside the fluid matrix. But when I pour the water, is not required that much the pumping operation. So this is the just simulation I want to explain that what is mean by the 70.8 Pascal second viscosity versus 36.1 Pascal second viscosity. So this is the concept for designing from the new concrete. This is not the change in the concrete. I will say this is a transformation of the concrete. Because today's challenges are the different. Earlier we are using only OPC cement, then we are familiar with OPC with the fly ash cement. Now our coral provision is allow us to use almost 60% or 70% GGBS. And when we are putting the GGBS, again the different challenges altogether into the cement compositions or cement matrix into the concrete design. So we have to understand all this thing and we have to come with the solution for all the solve these problems. Okay, now this is a fundamental. The same, when we are doing this exercise, all those things, if you see here, we are reducing the pumping pressure by the 60 bar. The number of the strokes increased by the 5 strokes per minute. This is a fundamental from this all the pumping operations. We are increasing the cylinder filling. Cylinder filling means we have the 2 cylinder into the pumps, where the piston is actually pulling and pushing the concrete. We increase by the 12%. So pump output is increased by 3.5 cubic meter per hour. Batching plant output increased by 5 cubic meter per hour. This is an intangible benefit into the concrete. So we have to come out from the design criteria for only the strength. So today's is really, if I want to contribute into the construction, only technical solution is not good enough. We have to give the management solution along with the technical solutions. This is the really challenge. Now, if you have to differentiate into the bar pressures, if you have to see the before the viscosity of the concrete is here 70.6 Pascal second. That time the pumping pressure pump is running on 220 bar. When I'm changing to the low viscosity concept concrete, the pumping pressure reduced to the 160 bar. This is the fuel. Your consumption is depending upon the how much bar pressure of the pump is taking. Everything is here. The cost is not only the reduction of the cement. Cost is not only how we can use economic design. The cost is in the practices also, in operations also. Now this is another examples from this Middle Vaitana project into the near Mumbai. So I hope if you understand the Mumbai, all the municipal water coming from the Middle Vaitana. Middle Vaitana is the hills situated in between the Thane city and Igatpuri, or we can say the Nashik. So Mumbai Municipal Corporation having the 3 dams, yes, middle of the one, upper Vaitarna, middle Vaitarna, and the lower Vaitarna. So all water, drinking water to the Mumbai city, they are transporting or carrying from that tank. So they announced one project to carry the entire water from the underground tunnels. So this is tunnel length is more than around 30 km long tunnel. So entire tunnel package divided into the 6 to 7 companies. So one package they are awarded to the one of the Australian tunneling company, and they have the Indian partner JV with the Pratibha Industries. So this is almost a 6 km long tunnel. Now the rest of the tunnel packages are the completed. So this is the middle one of the package. So this is not like a road project or the railway road project. So if one package is not complete, so we can take the diversion and start the entire package. This is the tunnels, and we are in that tunnel. We have to transport the water. If one package behind the schedule, we cannot open entire the tunnel. So then the discussion started that how we can accelerate the entire work. So which activity is left into the left more into this tunnel is they want to do the lining of this entire stretch, 6 km long stretch. Now, how they plan to the lining from the entire 6 km in the at the time of the tender filling? Okay, so I just first explaining to you guys. Now here, if you go from this, okay, how they are the initial planning for to do the concrete. So they are having the batching plant somewhere here. So from the batching plant, they can transport the concrete from the transit mixture at the mouth of this vertical shaft. This is a vertical shaft. Okay, this vertical shaft having the gantry. I know if you all are aware about the tunneling project. So they are having the one gantry here. So they unload the concrete into this bucket of the gantry, and then gantry lower down to the bottom of the shaft. Again, they collect the concrete into the bottom in the tank, and then they transport the concrete into the mug car. What is mean by the mug car here? If you see here, this is the mug car. This mug car means they use. This is a small locomotive operate onto the battery. This locomotive they are using to removing the excavated material from the tunnel by using the TPM operations. So they thought that we can use this small train which is running onto the single track into the entire the tunnel stretch by the manual operation. So they can transport the concrete from this transit mixture, lower down by gantry, again manually load into this the locomotive, and that locomotive goes inside to the tunnel for the respective location for unloading by the laborers. Again, pour the concreting by manually into the shutters or the formwork and complete the entire lining work. So this lining work entirely they want to require almost 7 to 8 months. Now they don't have that much time. So when we have started the discussion with them, so we understand what is the bottleneck in this project. The bottleneck is this: how we can transport the concrete inside the tunnel, because that is the only time-consuming activity. Then we thought that if Burj Khalifa, the engineers pump the concrete at 620-meter height, can it possible we can try for the horizontally? And then actually we can say that nobody knows having this experience how we can design the concrete for the 1 kilometer pumping, 1.5 kilometer pumping. This is based upon the previous experience, as well as we have to derive or find out some new terminology, some understanding about the designing of the concrete. Then the actually designing is started. So this concrete is coming from a batching plant by the transit mixture to the mouth of this vertical shaft, and then unloaded into the vertical pipelines. If you see this, we are just arranging the vertical pipeline, and that pipeline just collected the concrete at the bottom into the transit mixtures. And we just move the transit mixtures into the anti-clockwise, then again the concrete is just flowing from the chute to the pumping, and the pump push the concrete entirely to the pipeline to the. If you see here, they lay down the pipeline along to the alignment of the tunnels. So in this project, we pump the concrete 1.5 kilometer from maximum length. So if you see here, this is the reinforcement for this lining work. This is the formwork from that lining works, and we just pour the concrete without any vibration. You see the finishing. This is called as we design the smart dynamic concrete as good as the cell compacting concrete in this project. And then this project completed 1.5 months and 2 months. So understanding here is here. We don't want to track only the cost of if I design the traditional concrete, which is given into the documents, all those things, and what is the cost. If I change the entire concrete into different dimensions, then we have to think about the cost for the entire project. How much I can save the overheads if that activity is planned for the 7 to 8 months. The same activity, if I completed within the 1.5 month and the 2 months, so how much I can save the overhead? Because every day we have to spending the money for running the projects. This is the different understanding. So that's why I'm always saying that today's only technical solution is not enough. We need to think for the management point of view to arrive from the acceptance of the new technologies into the constructions. This is also the same example into the Himachal Pradesh, where we successfully pumped. This is also the one of bridge world record for the horizontal pumping for the 2.5 kilometer with the Hindustan Construction Companies. If anybody is really interested, this case study is already presented in the Elsewhere magazine, very recognized magazines between the Hindustan Construction and the BSA. You can even download from the Google domains and you can just go through that. This gives all the challenges, how we are designing the concrete and what are the challenges we are facing, how overcome all these challenges. This is interesting case study for to read. Okay, now we understanding the concrete requirement for this high-rise pumping, concrete requirement for the long distance pumping. Now this is a different domain. I will say that Japan is the father of invention of the self-compacting concrete. Professor Okamura. Professor Okamura from the Tokyo University is the first person who actually did the research on the self-compacting concrete concept, and then later on all the European countries are accepted there, and then the various people are start working on the self-compacting concrete. So this is the first application of the self-compacting concrete used into Japan. That's why I choose this case study. And our BSF Japanese colleagues work on this project, so that way I always feel proud to share with everyone. So in these projects, this is a suspension beam. In that suspension beam, which is the critical most important, maybe people are thinking at the construction of the pylon and all this. Okay, but if you see here, entire load they want to transport into the anchor blocks. This is most important because here they are having the uplift pressure, because these all the suspension cable both sides, from this side, upside and the downside of the bridge, they are anchoring into this anchor block. Now most important here is this is an aerial view, so you look like a very smaller, but this is like a mountain. One anchor block having more than 2 lakh cubic meter of the concrete. Now you guys are understanding. I show here the dimension: 80 meter height, 63 meter bottom width, and height is 38 meter. 38 meters. If you say that my floor to floor height is 3 meters, then it is almost 12 to 13 story building. Now you can understand imagine the work or quantum of the work of the concreting. So this one block is having the more than 2 lakh cubic meter of the concrete, and they have to consider this is a 4 blocks. If you see here the congestion reinforcement into this anchor block for this bridge. So entire anchor block into this bridge 2 lakh cubic meter concrete for the single anchor, designed with the 40 mm size of the aggregate, because they want to minimize the heat of hydration. So they gave for the maximum size. Even the design for the MSA 40 mm size of aggregate, they designed successfully for the self-compacting concrete. This is a real challenge. I am not saying the challenge of the self-compacting concrete design for the 10 mm size of aggregate or 20 size of the. They designed the self-compacting concrete for the 40 mm size of the aggregate. This is a factor. So total concrete volume is 6 lakh cubic meters concrete. They design maximum size of the 40 mm size of the concrete. Pumping distance maximum is 200 meters. So how they design entirely from the batching plant to the anchor block? There is no human intervention. Directly pump batching plant and deliver into the anchor block. So adopting for the new technology, they reduce almost 2 years of the construction time. It's a 20% saving altogether into the overhead. So now, why this most important is that when I'm saying this challenge at 40 mm, if I want to accept the 40 mm size of the aggregator, design the self-compacting concrete, which is not only the concrete technology we have to use to design the concrete. This is the fluid mechanics. This is the applied mechanics, and then the concrete technology for such a solution. Because it is very easy. If somebody says that I want to design the self-portrait concrete with the MSA 10 mm, one MSA 20 mm, but MSA 40 mm they design the concrete is altogether the difference. So I hope you now guys friends are understanding why this rheology concept is important for the now the day-to-day concrete, because the challenges are changing. We are now just discussing about all these operational issues. Vertical pumping, horizontal pumping, mass concrete pumping, frame size of the concrete pumping, all this. This is all the operation. Still, we have not touched into the design part. What is the challenges into the design? We will see in the different cases. So now I come back to the durability. I hope now you guys are now very clear about the strength and the durability, performance factors. So we are nowhere talking about I want to design the concrete to only achieve the strength of the concrete. My more focus how I can help by the construction people to make their life easy. This is my challenge for understanding the rheology, because rheology plays the role most important in the practices. How to mix the concrete, how to transport the concrete, how to pump the concrete, how to place the concrete, how to finish the concrete. This is all operation really challenges onto the day-to-day sites. Design is not really challenges for us. So which factor will come into the durability is obviously permeability, diffusion, corrosion, resistivity. I'm not putting the much time on this because I want to take it to the different domain. So if I want to talk more about the high performance concrete and design, so first key parameter is I want to use the supplementary cementitious material and try to keep the water cement ratio as low as possible, because this is the two important levers or keys for designing for the high performance concrete in terms of the durability. Now, whereas we have the different challenges, but I cannot go one everything challenges because you guys are understanding. I will give the one very comprehensive understanding about how the binders or supplementary cementitious is playing the role in the rheology and entire project dynamics. Most important is now the new technology in the formwork. People are proudly saying, no, we are using modular formwork, we are using Y1 formwork. But accepting the new formwork technology is not the solution. If I want to accept the new form of technology, I want to change my concrete also according to the new technology. For example, if suppose my specification or tender document says that I want to use the pumpable slab. What is the definition of the pumpable slab? If I refer to IS 456, the slab is 125 plus or minus 20 is pumpable slab. If sometimes you can use the Trimi concrete, what is the pumpable slab for Trimi is 160 plus or minus 20 mm. This is a total guideline. But when the people are drafting all these guidelines, they have something, basic understanding about where and which situation people are using this concrete. They are not understanding about the how you can build the concrete onto the site with different type of the formwork. For example, this is modular formwork. Okay. In that modular formwork, everybody knows that the height of the formwork is just in residential building around the 3 meters, 3.2 meters. The thickness of the wall is ranging from 120 meters to 150 meters. And we have again this is because this is all the load bearing walls. They are carrying the loads. There is no like a slab and the column and the beam structures. All walls are the reinforced concrete walls. So they are having the reinforcement in all these walls. So if I'm assuming that the thickness of the wall is 150 mm, and they're having a 10 mm or 12 mm bar of the bar at the middles. So we don't have that much of the open covers. Now, challenge is there. My understanding about the concrete, I'm pouring the concrete from the top, is almost 3 meter height. That concrete should flow below this window sill level, window chacha, each and every corner of this formwork. This is my understanding. And what my specification says that is pumpable concrete. Then how is all this possible? When we are referring to the pumpable concrete, that time people are not might be say that you have to pour the concrete 3 meter height. No, we have to place the concrete maximum free fall from the as per IS guidelines 1.5 meter. The concrete lift should not be more than 1.2 meter. The one lift of the concrete should not be more than the 300 mm. This is all of the guideline of provision available, and that provision with respect to the construction practices. If you change the construction practice, you have to change the specification. Then is the biggest challenge. What happened otherwise? If you see here, almost 1/3 portion of this wall at the bottom is having the high honeycombs. Then people are going for the repair mortars or the polymer, cement sand, and patch up all those things. One thing is most important in such type of the construction, people are not going for the plastering. So, no, they hiding your mistakes. I can say this is mistakes. Hiding our mistake in the form of doing the plastering is not possible because nobody in the developer or contractor are going for the additional cost of the plastering. He says when you are doing the modular form, you just go for the 50 consistency of the paste, which having the thickness more than 2 to 3 mm, and then go for the distance for oil painting or decorative painting whatsoever for the decoration purpose. This is a general project understanding for this modular format. When people are using, then they create the problem. I will show some of the process. See here how they are computer placing. I feel really bad to show all this photograph. But why I'm the intention of sharing all this things, this is happening. Now, in this modular formation, we will go and rectify all this work. Then we are behind the waterproofing in the leakages, and this is the entire life of the project. Why this is happening? Because this is the gap between the specification and the construction practices. People are adamant for the change to the specification. No, our specification document is say, our tender document says, this is complex now. We don't want to use the smart dynamic of this complex concept. But that is not changing altogether the form of systems. If you are adopting the new form of system, you have to change the concept specification also. Because you methodology entirely change the methodology. This is the gap between the design and the practices. And we have to understand all those things. Now, this photograph, if you see here, there is more people, the neighborhood or construction people standing on to the rough foundation. Only these crane operators and these pumping, matching, transit mixtures, they all doing the compression because they just pour the concrete like the pouring the concrete. It's smart dynamic concrete or self-compacting concrete. So this is now the transitions. This is your traditional vibrated concrete versus the self-consolidated or the smart dynamic concrete. When I am saying this is your plastic stage concrete, now when you are say that by concrete into the plastic stage, so your fundamental properties of the concrete technology are still or valid. When I'm changing concrete from the plastic stage to the fluid stage, when I say the fluid stage, flowable concrete, fluid mechanics come into the picture. I need to understand or analyze, design the concrete on the basis of the fundamental fluid mechanics properties. Okay, in this webinar, I am not covering all this. What is the fundamental property? What is the approach for the designing for the concrete in terms of the fluid mechanics? All those things. Because all these, these all together, all the different topics for the designing concept. But the objective for me here to bring into the attention that we have to think differently. Just concrete is not we can understand by measuring only the slum of the concrete. This is the one of the properties of the concrete, and then in fact concrete is the plastic stage. So how we can measure the different properties of the concrete? Okay, so fluidity, ability into the concrete, passing ability of the concrete, segregation register of the concrete. This is a well documented into the FNR guideline for the self-compacting concrete, and that helps to understand the rheology of the concrete. Why I am mentioning here because we have to go to that basic understanding how I can measure the rheology of the concrete. First rheology measurement I will demonstrate it in help of the ICAR rheometer. So what the challenge is ICAR rheometers and why we are not using extensively, we will see all those things. At this moment, you just understand how I can measure the rheology properties of the concrete. So in terms of the fluidity, passing ability, and stability of segregation resistance. So everybody knows this is we have the three instrumentation. One is the floatable, second is the elbow stage, and the different. So this classification given by the FNR guideline. Most important, design and the practices. Okay, now design says that we have to design the concrete for the M30 grade of the concrete. This is a simple definition from the design point of view. If the designer mind is only for this compressive step, his job only that to ensure the concrete should be achieved the 28 days compressive state at the 30 MPa. Now my question is here. Suppose in my project I have the two situations where First situation is that I want to use M30 grade of the concrete into the slab. In the same project, I want to use M30 grade of the concrete into the column. Now understand how the dynamics is changing. When I am saying it, I want to use M30 grade of the concrete into the slab. What is the thickness of the slab? Maximum 200 mm or 250 mm. Okay, so that thickness is, I can assume as the height of the concrete in that formula, M30 grade. Now M30 grade is the same in the column. Now what is the height of the concrete in the column is 3 meters. So in the slab section, my height of the concrete is 250 mm. In the column section or a wall section, same grade of the concrete, but height of the column is 3 meter, 3.2 meter. Now, technical person says or designer says both concrete are the same because slab is having M30 grade of the concrete and column is having the M30 grade of the concrete. What is the difference? Difference is the practices. Right? When I pour the concrete slab, my thickness is only 250 mm. When I pour the concrete into the wall, my thickness is 3 meter. Height of the column is 3 meter. I am placing the concrete from the 3 meter height. I want to vibrate the concrete from the 3 meter height. So workability retention, mineralogy retention property is different. So I want to draft the specifications for the practices M30 grade of the concrete. The placing specifications for the slab is different, and the placing of concrete into the column and the wall is different. I hope you understand all those things. That's why if you refer to the FNR guide, they give the different class of flows: SF1, SF2, SF3. So SF1 flow is 550 to 650, SF2 is 650 to 750, SF3 is 760 to 850. So you have the M30 grade of the concrete, but they having the different slump flows. So I'm not going into the all to this detail, but we should go all those things. Now, this is the slump flow where to measure. This is the V-funnel test. This is yellow box test. This test help you to understand the rheology into the flowable concrete or self-compacting concrete, smart dynamic concrete. Now, is there only guideline is available to understand all this? No. Now the university, we have almost more than 10 guidelines to how to design the self-compacting concrete or the smart dynamic concrete. This is all this. Now the IS 456 is also amended in 2000 for the NHL J into the self-compacting concrete. Even that we have now the IS 10262 in 2019. We are giving the very one clause 8.1 in the example how we can design the self-compacting concrete. This is the NHL E from this IS 102. So just go for them and they are capture all these slump flow class, yellow box test, V-funnel test, sieve resistance test. Now this is the most authentic document we have to design for the self-compacting concrete. So earlier we have the difficulties for all these documental, because in this government people are saying what is the compliances from the IS code and all those things. So I just touched upon for the smart dynamic concrete how we can differentiate between the smart dynamic. This is the traditional vibrated concrete and this is the self-compacting concrete. If you go to the philosophy of the self-compacting concrete and using the FNR guideline, they say if I want to design the self-compacting concrete, the minimum fines into the concrete is 550 to 650 kg per cubic meter. If suppose I want to design the M20 or M30 grade of the concrete, then I have to put extra fines for designing the M20 and M30. That is not the economical way. This is over engineering. So that's why people are not happy to use self-compacting property into the lower grade or day-to-day grade of the concrete. And M20 and M30 is, I can say 99% country volume, India volume is M20 and M30. We are hardly using 1% high strength of the concrete. It's very easy if somebody says I want to design the self-compacting concrete at M60 and M70, because M60 and M70 you have already having a high amount of fines. It's around 550 or 600 kg per cubic meter. It's very easy to convert it into self-compacting concrete. So smart dynamic concrete concept we are designing for how we can design the self-compacting concrete property into the day-to-day grade of concrete with an economical way. Okay, for this context, I'm just stopping here for the smart dynamic concrete. Yes, I have to positioning for your mind because I don't want to any stone under your mind. So if you see the output from using the smart dynamic, if you see this chaja, how this look like, this exactly 90 degrees. This look like something like we are using the precast element embedded into the concrete. It's like a finishings. See here the finishing for this all this stone. This is the modular formula. You just remove the formwork, just go for the finishing and the fill this formwork holes, and just go for the distempers or the decorative painting and the oil painting and just hand over to the customers. Now, this is the one more attribute that the people make ask the pictures. Okay, if I want to measure the rheology, so ICAR ring is only the way possible to measure the rheology. No, in the simplest way, also we can measure the rheology of the concrete. How we can measure the rheology of the concrete? Okay, so in this project, what is the different dynamics that the natural sand is the challenge? This project is near Goa. They want to use the long distance pumping horizontal to vertical by using sometimes the pressure holes. They want to use 60% replacement of the cement with the GGBS, blast furnace slab. Now, major challenges here, if you are talking about this, all this supplementary cementitious material, what is the impact onto the rheology? If you see this microstructure, fly ash is having the sphericals. If you compare, this is the slag. Slag is having the slate-like structure. So internal friction is a slag is very high because they are blocking the flow. In the vice versa, if you are using the fly ash, they are doing the ball bearing influence. So even the fly ash doing the water reduction into the mix or increase the workability, increase the slum, increase the flow into the concrete mix. Versus the fly ash, when we are using the high amount of the fly ash became the sticky because this is inherent properties of the fly ash because of the size, shape, and the texture of the particles of the fly ash. So all these issues into these projects for designing with the high replacement of the cement. Again, basic challenges that they have. This is the mega infrastructure project. In that mega infrastructure project, they have the different kinds of the mix design, starting from M30 to M60 or M65. So they want to use having the one only admixtures for the entire mix design. If you see entire here, this is almost 50-50 replacement, cement and the GGBS. In this mix, they are using cement and the microsilica. Third mix, OPC with GGBS, cement, GGBS, and the microsilica. So how is possible accommodate all these supplementary cemented into the mix without changing the admixture? So this is again the challenge. Now here we are measuring the rheology property into the concrete by using the L box, V funnel, and the slump flow. See here, this is the flow of this typical SCC AM60 gate. Okay, we will go jump directly to this T500 with the flow. So I hope you understand T500 into the slump flow. Here is the change. If you see the change with the normal admixtures is 4.4 seconds, 0 minute, 60 minute, 90 minute. With the same change into the master is hardly 1.2 second. So this T500 reading indicating the rheology retention into the mix. The similar way, if you observe into the V funnel, okay. So V funnel value for this master is ranging from the 15 second and the 0 minute and maximum after 120 minutes hardly changes for the 50 to 20 second. But if you are using the different admixture technology, this is a low viscosity concrete concept. The viscosity changing from here, the other alternative is 0 minute, 60 minute, 90 minute, 120 minute. The grade of the concrete, the behavior is different. The mixing, placing, transportation, all this impact onto the practices is the different. So this is the way you can even measure the rheology onto the construction. It is not necessary we have to purchase the ICAR rheometer every time because the challenge is ICAR rheometer. ICAR rheometer not giving the direct indication and that the output you cannot use directly into the changing the mix design. This requires high expertise to understand all this output and how that output I can incorporate to change the mix designs. So this is the way we have the option of the modify the rheology with the master is. So this is a low viscosity concrete concept. So how this will help us to ease in mixing and producing, ease in delivering pumping, ease in maintaining workability and rheology levels, leveling, finishing, durability. So today's concrete, we just not understand, into the design point of view, how I can help as a technical person to buy the construction people because they are really struggling for all those things. The project is designed into the planning stage and design stage in the head offices, and that and the actual implementation. For example, people are writing down with the specific pumpable slump use 120 or 150 minutes. When the actual project started, the formwork system was highly engineering. So we have to bridge all these gaps to make the life easy of the construction people. So you don't want to track only from this compressive strength attending and my job is over. Practices today is the most important to attend the speed, technology, complexities into all these projects. So thank you so much. My objective here is that I'm not going in depth about the rheology on myself. I want to bring into that level so people should understand what is the rheology and how we can think different way for the designing of the concrete. This is the different domains, and I must pass on all those things that at least we can start from the understanding all these concepts from the different ways and interact with the different experts in the industry and gather all this knowledge. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Amol Anand Patil. That was a good presentation. In fact, you had clarified, the difference between workability as well as rheology. Workability is one of the component of rheology. That is what one needs to be understood. And also you touched upon the difference between the design and practice, because many a times what happens is that we stop with the design. Practice, we don't, pay much attention. So that was a very important point, in fact, because we also need to incorporate the kind of practices that we are going to incorporate. That is very important. So the design and practice was a very good distinction that you had made, actually. So that's very nice. Yeah. And the other thing is that the vertical as well as the horizontal pumping of concrete was a major challenge. And the project that you had in Mumbai also, the horizontal, this thing in the tunnel project was very interesting, because, when you transport concrete over a distance, whether it's horizontally, vertically, it can be very challenging. So that's very interesting. So I'm sure that, as you rightly pointed out, there is no limitations actually as far as concrete is concerned. So that is one very important thing. So there was one this thing on my WhatsApp. They had sent one question actually. So the thing is that when you use admixtures like this, whenever we are using admixture, apart from using, how do we actually select admixture so that we can transport over a longer distance, whether it is vertically or horizontally? What are the factors that one should keep in mind?
The factors first we have to keep into the mind now. First, understand the aggregate properties. Even most of the properties aggregate don't focus into the coarse aggregate, the fine aggregate. Sometimes your sand is reactive. Even sometimes we have no permissible limit of the clay and the silt. So people might be say that, okay, my sand is having the clay limit or the silt content is a permissible limit. I don't have that problem with the clay and the silt. Sometimes that silt and clay are the reactive with the cement also or with the admixture also. So simplest way, if I want to use, suppose you have the sand having the silt content within the permissible limit as says the codal provision. So two mixes, sand 1 and the sand 2. Sand 1 is when I putting the admixture is goes to 1% dosage. I change the sand and instantly 1% dosage that second concrete will consume 1.2 or 1.3% dosage. Because why? That the permissible limit clay and the silt eat away the polymer of the admixtures. This is why problem, because that clay content or silt content is a reactive, not a unreactive content. So this is the sometimes we are facing problem into the challenges. When you are talking, people are talking about the I want to transport concrete for the 1 hours or 2 meters. This is a day-to-day challenge. But in the special cases, we design the concrete up to the 8 hours also in the marine jetties and all those things. If you see in the Delhi metro, we are using the concrete after 48 hours also. That is a different technology. That calls a workability inhibition. Inhibition means that you have to stop entirely the reaction with cement and the water. So this is a different technology. The first factor is the sand. Second most important factor is the cement compatibility of the admixture. That is also important. But more or less, that is not this is the problem. Third most important is which type of the supplementary material you are choosing. Because if you are using the fly ash impact on the mixed design and the workability is different. If I am using the silica fume, that impact is different. And if I am using the GGBS, that impact is here. We have to understand the material science. Fly ash is having the 225 meters square per kg. Cement is having the fineness, minimum fineness as per IS, 225 meters square per kg. And if you are using the even the 2% or 3% micro silica, the microsilica having the finest 22,000 to 25,000 meters square per kg. Understand, is 100 times finer than your cement. So that impact is different onto the workability, pumping, altogether operation. Versus I show the microscopic structure slag. Slag is having the different materials. So all knowledge should be required to put together for the design the proper concrete.
Another thing is that for radiation shielding capacity of concrete, is there any admixture available?
No such. For radiation shielding capacity, the people are designing a different. They are using the high density concrete.
High density concrete, especially for nuclear power structures and all that.
Yeah. Kaiga and all those things. People are using the hematite aggregate oris for that in the concrete.
Because basically, they are trying to raise the density of concrete.
Yeah.
Another thing is that whether admixture is available in nano form. If yes, then how will mix and gain of strength?
Nano form mix, I can say that this is a nanotechnology into the PCE molecule that is available into the liquid form. So according to the requirement of the site, it's possible we can go and change the nano level to make this. It's possible.
It's possible.
Yeah.
So that's it. I think so some of the questions would be posted on the Facebook also. So which we will be passing it on to you, because we are not able to look at the Facebook this thing. So those of you who want to see the recording again, you can go to the Facebook live, or otherwise also we will be putting on YouTube also, so that you can just go through the presentation, and if there are any queries, please do post. Please do keep us posted, so that we would take clarification from Mr. Amol. I think you would be able to clarify through.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I always happy.
We'll post. We'll send those questions whenever we get it to you, so that you can handle it. So that was a very good presentation from your side, because what happens is that many times this admixture cement is a challenge. The cement admixture compatibility is what they are looking at. So many times what happened is that the trials is not being done on a regular basis. If you see, they do trial at one time, and then the next trial is done after say 2-3 months, and the work keeps on going. Only if there is a problem, then only the trial is again done. That is something I think one needs to pay attention to. And of course, the kind of awareness also that is there at the site. Some of the smaller sites is very less actually. If suppose, say for example, if there is a leakage in concrete structure, many of them do not know that it is because of compaction. That simple thing also matters. So a lot of simple construction practices also matters, because many times what happens, the compaction, the type of vibratory equipment that has to be used, all those comes under practices section itself. So the practices needs to be, I think, planned as well as executed in a way that you get the concrete. As you rightly pointed out, even the placing of concrete also, how the placing is being done has to be paid attention to. So that was a very good session for all of us, and it was very enlightening, because we had webinars on various topics, ranging from cement, blended cement, to concreting, to practices, and there was even on plumbing also, so that the entire aspect of civil construction is being covered, so that the professionals would have a very good idea about all this. So this is, I think, something which would be very useful for all of us. So thank you so much for having joined us, and I think we have almost finished on time, and that is great, because that is one advantage of having a webinar. You don't have to wait, and then program starts on time, and it almost gets finished on time. So that is a very wonderful presentation by you, Mr. Amol. Thank you so much, and we wish you goodbye, and thank you so much. Nice.
Thank you. Yeah.